welcome to Newsmakers. I'm your host, Nancy Lewis. Today we're going to be talking about ID theft. We're here today in the Royals Hall of Fame, which you see behind me. I am here today with Kansas Attorney General Schmidt. Thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure.
So, if somebody's identity really is stolen, it can cause a whole world's worth of problems, can't it?
Oh, it can be a nightmare. I mean, just think about everything you're able to do online that you want to do, and then imagine somebody else doing that to you in your name. It's really, really a problem.
And it's when it happens to you, it's just so hard to clear up, right?
It is, and it's so invasive. I mean, it sort of wiggles its way into parts of your life you don't always foresee, and it can take years sometimes in difficult cases to try to put the pieces back together. That's why we really focus on trying to help people avoid the problem in the first place.
So let's talk about that. What do people really need to do to be able to avoid ID theft?
Well, the key is, think about any information that you would use in order to engage in a remote purchase, a sale, an online anything, and just use good common sense to keep other people from getting their hands on that information. So obviously, social security number, but name, date of birth, even address, account numbers, anything along those lines. Protect it like it's cash, because in some ways it is.
And there's a difference. I think some people get confused. I was talking about my mom and how she's so worried about it. I think they get confused between credit card, stealing your credit card number, and identity theft. And those are two different things, aren't they?
They are, although of course they sometimes overlap because somebody with your card number can then pretend to be you and engage in making charges that ultimately are a problem you have to deal with. But there's so many different ways that the bad guys can use your identity to pretend to be you. It's using a credit card perhaps, or a bank account number to invade and get money out. Or opening up credit in your name that you never intend, opening up a card that you don't know about because they got your social security number and pertinent information, and then we're able to go out and charge things on an account you didn't even know existed, or pretend to be you for medical billing purposes, or pretend to be you for other purchases. You get the idea.
So if somebody calls you on the phone, an unsolicited anyone, and wants your credit card number, certainly want you to wire them money, give you any kind of information, don't do it.
Absolutely not. I mean, if somebody calls you, sends you an email, sends you a letter, and wants any kind of information for any purpose, I just tell them no. I figure if it's legitimate, they're probably they'll find another way to communicate with you that you know is for sure. But there are so many different forms of these scams, all of which are based on the notion that somebody wants to get just enough information about you to go out and pretend to be you and cause all kinds of havoc.
So I'm going to take a quick turn here and talk about Truckers Against Trafficking. It's a group that empowers the trucking industry to fight human trafficking.
Yeah, what a great deal. We're doing a partnership event with Truckers Against Trafficking. They are a national nonprofit. Kansas Attorney General's office, obviously, we have a priority on combating trafficking. And one of the things they're really good at is focusing on particularly sex trafficking, but along the nation's highways, whether it's with the trucking industry or at truck stops or at other service locations, anywhere you have lots of commerce, you have the potential for bad guys to do bad things in commerce, and trafficking, of course, is an example of that. So, raising awareness is so critical to fighting trafficking, and this is a great group for folks to sort of get that idea with.
There's so many people who may think, gosh, that happens someplace else, but not in Kansas. Happens in Kansas too, right?
Look, let me give you one data point. Back in 2009, the various social service grantees that we work with at the AG's office reported 2 cases of human trafficking. This last year, the same group reported more than 400. And I don't think it's because there's been an explosion in trafficking. I think it's because people now understand it happens here and they know better what they're seeing when they see it.
So if they want more info for some of this stuff, they can go to your website?
Absolutely. ag.ks.gov. That'll get you the Kansas Attorney General's website and lots of info there.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Nancy. Good to see you.
Thanks for being here, and thank you for being here. We hope to show you next time on Newsmakers.